So warm greetings, and from misty Redwood City. It's almost as if it was raining this morning, biking down here, and invigorating and nice to be here with you all. So the topic for this week or this next few days is right mindfulness, and so for that purpose, I would like to offer for this meditation session the Buddha's most basic instruction, or the first instructions that he gives for mindfulness meditation. And this instruction appears in different places in his teachings, and probably could be seen as pretty central to how we taught meditation practice. It involves mindfulness of breathing, and it incorporates within it a mindfulness of the body, two very central practices of the Buddha. And it also incorporates within it the practice of letting go, or an aspect of letting go, which is to relax. So I'll guide you through it, and then in the talk afterwards we can go into a little bit more detail. So in the classic instruction, the Buddha says to sit down under a tree, in an empty building, in a quiet place, and establish the body erect. So sit upright and establish mindfulness to the forefront. Establish mindfulness at the center of all things for you, awareness. So taking a posture which is either upright literally or metaphorically for you, and if it's helpful, you can close your eyes. And if you're listening to me, you are being aware. If you're attending to your posture, you're being aware. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, you're being aware. So you might now see if you can heighten your capacity for awareness, to be here, aware, in this body. And as you become aware of different parts of your body, to appreciate awareness itself, attention itself. So you might become aware of your breathing, and in doing so now, take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Stretching your chest, your torso as it expands, and relaxing the whole shoulders, chest, belly as you exhale. Feeling the deeper inhales as a way of connecting to yourself, to your body. And being aware as you do so, you are being aware. There is present moment attention as you bring your attention to deeper breaths. And then to let your breathing return to normal. Again, being aware of your breathing. And as you exhale, to relax different parts of your body. Becoming aware of your face and your forehead. And you exhale, relax the face. Relaxing around the eyes, softening the gaze. In doing so, there's awareness of the face. And then bringing attention to the shoulders. And as you exhale, Relax the shoulders. Soften. Maybe creating a little space in the shoulder joint. Being aware of the shoulders. And being aware of the belly. And as you exhale, to soften, relax the belly. And to be aware of yourself from the waist down, maybe down through your bottom and tops of your legs. Feeling any tension or holding that might be there. And then as you exhale, to relax and soften that area too. All the while, awareness is operating to track this, to pay attention, to notice this, to know to relax. And now, notice how you're breathing. And if you can notice it without any judgment, without any it should be different, but just simply become a student of your own breathing. I like to think that no two breaths are ever the same. And certainly, throughout the day and different days, the breathing is experienced differently. So notice how it's being experienced now. What parts of your body engage or move as you breathe? Where is breathing most prominent in your body? Which is most prominent for you? The experience of inhaling or exhaling? Without any idea it should be different. Are you breathing fast or slow? Are your breaths long or short? Are your breaths shallow or deep? Whatever way it is okay. For the Buddha's first instruction in mindfulness, simply discover, notice how the breathing is, with a sense that you have the breathing has permission. Breathing has permission to breathe itself, whatever way it is. Your job is to notice what that experience is like. And in doing so, you are being aware. Awareness is what allows you to notice. And then for a few moments now, see if that awareness of yours can sustain its attention on the rhythm of breathing. Maybe almost as if breathing is a circle of inhales and exhales. You're going to ride that circle. Or like breathing is waves washing up and down off a sandy beach. Stay there, observing the body breathing. And then continuing with breathing as if it's the center of all things, and everything else almost like it arises from breathing or connected to breathing. And as you're with your breathing, with your peripheral vision, also become aware of any tensions in the body, any places of holding or straining, pushing or pulling away, any tension. And notice the tension, as if tension has permission to be there, as if you've never taken the time to get to really know it. Breathing through it, breathing with it. Experiencing that tension. without judging it or trying to make it go away. And doing all this, you are relying on awareness, your ability to attend and know, aware of breathing, aware of tension, as if awareness has lots of room and lots of permission for things to be as they are. And now, having felt and experienced any tension, then continue breathing in and breathing out. But also now, see if you can relax the tension, the physical tension in your body. Doing so not in a hurry or expecting to be successful. Just kind of a movement of softening, easing up. Breathing in and breathing out. Maybe on the exhale, relaxing tensions in your body. So there's 4 steps here. First, just noticing the breathing, being aware of it, establishing attention. And then really noticing the details of breathing. Being intimate with the experience of breathing. And then as we're breathing, to be intimate with the body as a whole. To notice the tensions of the body. And then also to relax those tensions, or to relax the whole body. Soften, quiet the body. And there's no hurry to go through these 3 steps. Whatever step is comfortable for you and nice for you, stay there. As long as it feels good to be there. Establishing attention, focusing attention on breathing, noticing more deeply the experience. Breathing and being aware of the body as a whole and its tension. And then relaxing the body. And in each of these steps, awareness is supporting us. It's a companion for us as we do them. And as you continue in the last few minutes, can that awareness of breathing, the body, the tensions, can it be a caring awareness? As if you're caring for something important and precious, something you love. A caring awareness of breathing, a caring awareness of the body. And then coming to an end of the sitting, see if you can now turn the awareness outward, having a caring awareness outwards towards other people and other beings. Breathing with, attending with others. Relaxing any tension of the body that arises in relationship to other people and other beings. And reflecting a bit about what is it like to have an attention awareness that is infused with care and kindness. Not as work, not as something stressful or assertive, but it simultaneously cares for ourselves. So we are relaxed and open and connected to a inner goodness, good place within. And then wishing, having goodwill for all beings. Taking the time at the end of meditation to connect your meditation practice to living in this world for the welfare and happiness of all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. And may all beings be free. So today I'm going to continue, certainly on this longer series on the Eightfold Path, but on the talks about right mindfulness, the seventh step of the Eightfold Path. And mindfulness is a great joy. It's a great pleasure, and is such a wise teacher for us, in that it brings so much wisdom and freedom, and it's just a fantastic thing. And here we're calling it right mindfulness, and what makes it right? We have to go back to the first step of the Eightfold Path, which is right view. And the right view is what indicates or points to how all these other steps are right or complete or invaluable for the purpose of becoming free of suffering. So right mindfulness is that mindfulness, that attention that's used to help us live a healthy, a wholesome life, a mentally healthy life, a life that supports us in the direction of bringing suffering to an end, to alleviate suffering, to discover some kind of profound peace. And so right mindfulness is the mindfulness that we cultivate or live in as we discover freedom from suffering. And that freedom from suffering is then a reference point for the growing of this mindfulness. That freedom of suffering, to be aware of that, to have an awareness that has no suffering in it, that is without any attachment or clinging to it, is a phenomenal thing. And to have a taste of it, and then to know that clearly enough, that taste, that sense of it, that then we keep coming back to that way of being aware. So it's the awareness of that helps us to become free of suffering, and it's the awareness that is an expansion of that suffering into our fullness of our lives. So that's what right mindfulness is. And there's plenty of wrong mindfulness, in the sense that there's mindfulness as ways of using attention that doesn't really contribute to us being free. And so one example recently, maybe still today, is the way that some people, their attention gets pulled into the world of politics. And politicians are sometimes experts at getting our attention, having people wake up in the morning and regularly check through the day, what's happening there. And the attention that goes into some politics, attention that goes into other areas of life, the entertainment industry, that goes into our greed and our hatred, that attention, that precious resource of awareness, when it goes into that would be considered not right mindfulness, because it's not leading to freedom. It's not bringing the end of suffering. And so we want to learn how to use this attention, this awareness, in some way that brings the end of suffering. And so the Buddha provided 4 different areas in which we can apply our attention or awareness. Some people call it frameworks. 4 different frameworks for being present for our experience, regardless of what it is, whatever is going on in our experience, whether we are reading about politics, learning about it, or whether we are involved in whatever it might be. The right mindfulness is to apply our attention to these areas here for the purpose of freedom. And these 4 are the body, feelings, mind states, and kind of mental activities. I'll talk about each these over the next 4 days, today being the body. And the way that we know that we're coming into the fullness of this mindfulness, this awareness that's going to move towards freedom, is when awareness has been freed enough from its attachments, enough from all the identifications we have about who we are, so that awareness can settle back, in a sense, and just observe phenomena. Observation doesn't interfere with what it looks at. It just kind of there and just sees. Awareness is not, seeing is not impacted usually by what is seen, unless it's bright light or something. It's the impact is deeper in the mind. But to have the inner mind have no attachments, so the seeing is just seeing, clear and full, the ability to observe. Some of the deepest states of meditation the Buddha taught, he uses the verb observing to describe how to be with those experiences. He doesn't talk about watching or observing earlier in practice, but he does when the mind is really well established. And one of the great metaphors for this that I love is a shepherd or a cowherder who is during the growing season when rice is growing in India, The shepherd has to be very close to the cattle in order to keep them from eating the farmer's rice. But once the rice has all been harvested, then there's no longer a need to be careful. So now the farmer, the cowherder, rests against an oak tree, rests against a tree, and looks out across the land at the cows, keeps track of them, but in a very relaxed way. The cows can wander where they go and back and forth, and the cowherder can just rest there and observe without having to stay close and stopping them from going into the fields and things like that. So at some point, as the mind gets settled, and the mind's cows are not going around eating everything or causing damage, then we can just relax and settle and observe. How we get to this mature observation is what the exercises in the 4 areas, the 4 foundations of mindfulness are about. And it's how to develop an acute or a strong or effective way of being present and attentive here and now. And in mindfulness of the body, there are a variety of different ways that stimulate or evoke a heightened sense of awareness. This is what we're trying to develop, a heightened sense of awareness, a lucid awareness eventually. And so one way is to do mindfulness of breathing. This is really central and first and foremost how the Buddha taught mindfulness. To settle into the breathing, to start noticing it and being intimate with the experience of breathing. Notice how the body is tense. And then as we're breathing, to relax the body. And some of you know that when I do guided meditations, that this is often kind of the basic thing that I start off with, almost like a kind of preparatory work, is to, relax the body, breathe, and then relax at different places of holding on the exhale. It's kind of a variation of what the Buddha was teaching. He also taught about being carefully attentive, with clear recognition, a presence of mind, to be knowingly, as you do these things, to knowingly live our life, our daily activities of life. When you're walking, clearly stay knowing that you're walking. When sitting, know you're sitting. When lying down, know you're lying. When standing, know you're lying down, you're standing. So all these different ways, clearly know it. And so the contrast to that is just walking down the street, walking town, and just completely lost in our daydreams, in our thoughts, our concerns. And, there's no real attention to the fact that we're walking. It's so effortless to walk, there's no obstacles, and we're not really paying attention to walking. The Buddha, for right mindfulness, the mindfulness of the big underline, if what we want more than anything else is to really get to the bottom of our suffering, really uproot it, really discover how to live an effective and peaceful life for ourselves and for the world around us. Then, when we're walking down the city street, knowingly know that you're walking. Walk in a sense, with awareness of walking as part and parcel of what you're doing. You can still think about things that are important, but a very strong sense of presence is there in the body. So you're really connected as you walk and as you think about other things. You're not lost in daydreams. Also, he said to do the same thing in all kinds of daily activities. And when you're stretching your arm to do something, you're picking something up. When you're caring for whatever you're taking care of. He said, even talks about defecating. Do it mindfully. So all the activities of life, to bring attention to those, that is right mindfulness, meaning that's the mindfulness that's useful to cultivate if what you want is freedom. So remember always the background of this whole enterprise of the Eightfold Path is this big if. This is the if. This is right. These are the approaches if you want something, if you want freedom. And if you really want it, pay careful attention to this. So, but also there's other ways in which the Buddha talked about heightening attention. And I think we can probably kind of stretch these or apply them in different ways. He talked about reviewing, visualizing, imagining all the different parts of our body. And some people I know have gone to morgues or to seen cadavers. And there's something about really appreciating, reviewing, and thinking about our body in all its physical detail that is fascinating and somehow sobering and kind of opening, that encourages us, yes, stay here. This is special. This is precious. Also to review or to see or understand the body, not as a unified body, as one whole thing, but as made up of component parts, the four elements. That to really kind of sense this is to begin also, not necessarily to understand the physics of the body, but the elemental physics, but to understand anything that supports us to remember to be here in this body. To have awareness become stronger. And that's all for the purposes of how do we wake up. He also said, uses the language of comparing. There's a way of comparison that can also heighten awareness. And the example he gives is comparing our body, ourselves, to that of a corpse. Just like we will become like the corpse someday. We'll die. And this is not supposed to be morbid reflection. It's supposed to somehow or other, and each person maybe it's a different way, have that comparison give a spark. Oh, I'm alive, I'm animated now. The whole feeling of being conscious, the whole capacity of consciousness exists only when you're alive. And this whole body won't have consciousness in it when you're dead. The mind won't have consciousness in it when you're dead. And so by comparing ourselves to a corpse, the hope is that you start appreciating being aware and are willing or allowing or inspired to live an aware life, and a life aware through the body, embodied awareness. And so this first foundation of mindfulness is to begin cultivating a heightened embodied awareness of the body, awareness that grows as we somehow or other, different ways, connect to the body. Meditating on breathing on the body, being aware of our body as we go through daily life, reflecting on how the body is made up of all these component parts, or comparing ourselves to a corpse. All for the purpose of heightening awareness, encouraging us to stay in a field of awareness, stay in the continuity of awareness, until the awareness becomes more lucid, until awareness is something that just can peacefully observe what's going on without reacting to what's happening. This practice, so all those practices are the practices that lead to sati, lead to being able to abide in awareness. And that ability to abide, to observe, is a form of freedom in itself, and it's the foundation for the deepest kind of freedom, the release that is not letting go. Relaxing, letting go, is what prepares the ground for our heart to release, where it's held, where it's constricted. So mindfulness of the body. The Buddha emphasizes this repeatedly over and over again. Very, very, very powerful, very central to what the Buddha at least was teaching. It takes a lot of compassion and a lot of care how to do this because of what goes on in the body for people. But it's the first foundation of mindfulness. Thank you.